Welcome everybody to the Duke of Edward's Library. We're happy to welcome back Tracey Ryan to the library, and it's a mystery series. It's called Wicked Game of the Hunter, and this is the first book in the series. And tonight the focus will be on Wicked Shadow of the Hunter, and these books are now published and available for anybody who'd like to get a copy. And I believe, from what I hear, that there may be some local Southbridge references in the latest book. So I'm hoping that you'll reveal all this evening, Tracey.
Well, I don't know about reveal all, but I'll give some tidbits.
In relation to the book. Thank you. So welcome.
Great, thanks Margaret, I appreciate it. Well, thank you guys, I appreciate you guys coming tonight. I know, Sue, you have read the first book.
I have not.
You have not, okay. So I just want to make sure before I give away any secrets.
Okay.
It is a trilogy, so as you found out, they are cliffhangers at the end, so just don't be mad at me. Because all will be revealed once I finish writing this third book. So just a little bit about myself first, we kind of talked about it a little bit, so I originally grew up in Hardwick. The books are based, half of it, if each one is in Hardwick, the other half is really in the Boston locale area. So I was really trying to bring in, how do I bring in my hometown, since no one's ever heard of Hardwick. It's the town where there's more cows than people that used to be. No one realizes that Hardwick has the oldest country fair in the United States, that they used to be actually a manufacturing mecca during that industrial age. So there's a lot of cool things that happen in Hardwick that, again, no one ever realized. So I've tried to actually bring a little bit of the history too into these books as well, but also trying to really showcase where I grew up. Like the house that is in Hardwick, that is the house that I grew up in. I will preface this, Gail has heard me say this, the girl in the book is not me. There may be some similarities. Okay, she's blonde, but she has a much better wardrobe than I do, much more expensive. Okay, she does marketing and I do marketing, but so there are some similarities. But a friend of mine, actually, who is a writer, he's written everything from screenplays to news articles. He always helped me kind of when I first started thinking about doing this series he's like, the best piece of advice that I can give you is, he goes, even though it's not going to be based on you, but he goes, bring in some of your real life into it, because he goes, that's what's going to make it real for the readers. If you believe it, then your readers will believe it. And that always stuck in the back of my head. So that's, again, why you see a lot of the references within Hardwick. They are real. Like, you can go to Hardwick and you can see the common. You can go to the Hardwick Fair. It is there every August. Like I said, the house that's in there, that is the house that I grew up in off of the Hardwick Common. So, even in Boston, the locale, the Seaport District and everything, that's where I work. So there's a lot of, different references, like I said, that are actually like real life places. As Margaret alluded to, in the second book, I brought in my favorite Italian restaurant in town, Mario's. So Mario's Ristorante is in the second book, and all of the workers there are also mentioned in the book. So, he's got a nice... Do you
say it's in Southbridge, or do you put it in Hardwick?
Yep, I have it in Southbridge. I say that he... I think I gave poor Mario a heart attack, but he expanded, because his business was doing so well, to Boston. He's like, are you trying to kill me here? I was like, I'm trying to retire, and you've got me expanding. And I actually did, if you ever go into to Mario's, so I actually took a screenshot of the page that he's on, along with the cover of the book, and did a nice frame for him, so it's actually hanging up in the restaurant. So, like I said, I mentioned all of the, the waitresses that we had there and everything. So they were all like over the moon that, they're like, oh my God, we're in a book. But like I said, bringing a lot of it from my perspective into it, even though, again, the book is not about me. It is a murder mystery series. So like I said, there is, cliffhangers at the end. I will not reveal anything, Sue, so you're going to have to read the second book, which I have plenty of copies with me. The first book, really, I will have to say, it really tries to set up the characters. And, Sue, I'd be interested in your thoughts there. So I did a lot of work. I spent really the first 6 months before even putting, quote unquote, pen to paper. really developing the characters and doing character analysis, everything down to the watch that Hunter wears, the cologne, Emma's clothing, their, townhouses and apartments and their cars, like really trying to build out those characters so that when I knew I was ready to write, it was purely just writing, not then having to try to figure out like how each character is going to act or, how they're going to be. I've had friends ask me, they're like, okay, Hunter's penthouse in Boston. We know you don't have a penthouse in Boston. How the heck did you ever come up with that? I'm like, I went onto realtor.com, found one that I liked, and basically described it. They're like, okay, that was ingenious. I'm like, yeah. I said, so I mean, there's certain things in there that I had to, fictionalize, if you will. But really trying to, that first book was really, my goal was to really try to bring those characters to life, to really set them kind of the backdrop for them, to get you interested in those characters. And then really the second book is taking that to the next level. So, in the first book, without giving anything away, Emma is finding out, she meets up with her old flame, if you will, from high school. They end up doing a charity event together for Boston Children's Hospital. Actually, part of the foreword in the second book is, about Boston Children's Hospital and asking actually people to donate to it, because I do believe in, it's a good cause. It is actually one of the causes that I actually donate to. But, through that, Emma and Hunter meeting back up again, strange events start happening. And, there's a lot of mystery around. Hunter's father died under mysterious circumstances. He never liked Emma. Is his father back from the dead, perhaps? They never found a body, so you don't know. And, she finds out she's starting to be stalked. Her office is vandalized, so there's all these strange things, basically all these tentacles of a spider's web that are starting to happen. So the next book really takes it again to that next level, bringing in a couple additional characters into the scene just to mix things up a little bit. And, really the third book, once I finish writing it, will again tie up all of those loose ends. Hopefully, I gotta finish it though. I've been asked if I know how the trilogy is gonna end. I don't know yet. I have ideas. I probably have 3 or 4 directions that it could actually go in, but I haven't settled on one yet. I've had people ask me, well, you must know who the murderer and the stalker is, and I'm like, nope, don't know yet. Again, I have some ideas, and I kind of just, how I write is, I just kind of, again, I have all of these ideas in, an outline form, if you will, on sticky notes, but I kind of just start typing and then see kind of where it all leads to. So I definitely have my work cut out for me on this third book because, again, I have to tie all these loose ends together. But I can promise you that it will definitely not be a cliffhanger, the third one, because I will be tying everything up. But it may not be who you think the murderer could be. So I'll just... Sue's getting frustrated.
It's okay. I'll just have to reread them all over again.
That's right. But again, I wanted to also make them fun. So, I was actually just talking to someone before I came here, and it's like, I don't want to scare people to death, like where they can't sleep at night, but I want to make it a little bit fun. I want to add, some, kind of, like I said, the Boston Children's Gala, the charity event in there, so that, again, there's some lighthearted, stuff in there too, besides, people just dying and, being stalked. I mean, there's other things in the books as well, so there's a little bit of romance there. There's, again, the murder and the mystery as well. So as I tagged Mario's framed picture that I gave him, I think I called it Murder Mystery of Mario's, so again, it's again, trying to get people interested so that they want to read the next book, so, which hopefully I did for you, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna read it.
But, not to put you on the spot, Sue, but, what did you think of the characters, again, without giving much away, but,
I enjoyed them. I really liked them.
you know, she's got quite the expensive taste. I'm like
Yes.
thinking, wow, she must have quite the marketing job. I mean, yeah, they're likable. They're really likable. Not all of them. Some of them are not likable, really nasty.
Yes, you know, not everyone's a nice person.
No, but, and then, well, the cliffhanger at the end is like, ooh, you know, it's like,
Yes, my uncle was, when he read it, he was very upset with me. He sent me a, you know, quick text message, and he's like, I hate Hunter. Okay, and then I had actually seen him at the Hardwick Fair last year. Doesn't even say hello to me, just immediately comes up and he's like, I just want you to know how much I hate Hunter. And I'm like, okay, nice to see you too, thanks.
it's kind of like that Twilight thing, Team Jacob and Team
right,
Edward. It's like, okay, all right, now it's like, oh, what's gonna happen now?
But that's the only similarity, I hope, right?
Oh, it's the only similarity, really.
No vampires, no.
No, there are no vampires, no billionaires.
And no, well, yeah.
Yeah. Hunter's got some bucks.
They can be lovable, though.
Yeah.
You could learn to.
I can learn to love it.
Yeah, I could learn to, you know, love some money.
His father's not a nice guy, though.
No.
At all,
Yeah.
no, so I feel bad for him.
When do you think the third book will be finished?
My goal is to have it out and available for purchase in the May-June timeframe. So I'm about 50 pages into it right now. And so I'm hoping that I can actually get it to the publisher by around February timeframe, which, as I'm realizing, we're already in mid-September, so I gotta get huffing it on, finishing that up. So, but now that summer's over and vacations and all that stuff, so I'll have, and it's football season, so I'm a football widow, so this is what I do on Sundays.
Go Pats, you gotta watch the Patriots
Yes,
game.
I do flip through, so, you know, because I gotta watch my boyfriend Tom Brady, so.
Yep,
He's my boyfriend.
He's mine.
Terrific.
Barbara O'Malley, she's
Oh,
like,
is it?
and then Jimmy G, he didn't have a good week last Sunday at all.
No.
3 interceptions.
No.
So do you write every day, or what's your sort of routine in terms of getting ready for writing, and how do you do it?
So I don't write every day, but what I do is on the weekend, so on like especially these football Sundays, is I will try to write 5 to 7 pages, so it's almost like I'm writing every day. I get to a certain point where, you know, like I said, I got about 50 pages done, so what I've done is I've actually, because I'm still a little bit old school, so I actually printed them off, and then I mean, the weather's still somewhat nice outside, so I'll sit on the front porch and actually start editing, because again, when you get in and writing, you forget that, like, on page 25, she was wearing a yellow dress, and now all of a sudden you switched it to pink. I mean, it's things like that you forget, as, you know, because again, you're not in it every single day, so it's like you kind of have to refresh your memory a little bit. So I try to do some of that editing as I'm going along. Other authors that I've talked to, they just write and then, you know, kind of go through it at the end. But, you know, like I said, so now that summer's over, vacations and all that stuff, which I actually do bring it on vacation with me, so I always have a notebook with me. I always have a printout of however, you know, many pages I have done of the recent books, so that as I'm sitting on a plane and, you know, dying of boredom, I'm actually, you know, I can write, I can edit, I can do all of that stuff as I'm sitting on the beach or in front of the pool. You know, I actually have my you know, next manuscript with me. So I tend to be a little bit more disciplined in the fall and winter, just because there's not really a lot else to do. So especially once the snow starts flying.
Right.
Do you, I haven't read them yet, but do you anticipate you would continue with these characters? Or is this going to be the end?
Possibly. We'll see how I feel after the third one. I may take a little bit of a breather just to catch my breath, but I've actually already started thinking about if I was to continue the series, you know, is there enough for another trilogy? Could I take 1 or 2 of the characters, maybe not Emma and Hunter, who are the main characters, but maybe some of the other characters, and created like subset trilogy off of that possibly. So I have some ideas bouncing in my head. So right now I'm contemplating whether or not to kind of continue through, or again, just kind of leave it at this trilogy, but my guess is I'll probably continue through.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be sad for a writer to end a book. And
Right.
have you written any other pieces?
I've written a book that I did not publish, which again it's actually nonfiction. It's about historical libraries of New England.
Oh.
So it is not quite finished, but I have like the Hardwick Library in there. I actually have a library, a couple libraries up in Maine and in Rhode Island. So, but again, I wrote it in around the 2008 timeframe, and that's when the market crashed. And there was, at the time, there really wasn't a good platform for independent authors out there. So every regular publisher was like, no, we're not publishing any nonfiction because it's not going to sell. So I kind of shelved that. So again, that may be, once I finish this trilogy, I probably might go back to that one first before I start.
You may want to pick up a copy of our book, right, Margaret?
Sure.
We have a book that was written about our history in honor of the 100th birthday of the
cool.
library. So,
Cool.
yeah, it's really neat.
Which was interesting to see because like the library in Hardwick, I tried to bring in kind of quirky little things into it. So the library in Hardwick has a ghost. I have witnessed it. It's I was actually just telling a friend of mine this story where I used to in high school cover for if one of the librarians couldn't be there, so I would help out there or whatever. And there was one night where I was alone in the library, and I think they were open at the time Tuesday nights till like 9 o'clock, and it was dark out. I'm the only one there. I can hear footsteps coming up from the basement, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, this is a little freaky because I'm like, did someone not close the door? Is it some wild animal? I mean, you just see all these things go through your head. So I'm like kind of peering around the corner, and there's no one there. And there's been other people too that have been in there alone, and they're like, oh yeah, we hear footsteps or like a door closing, and it's just like, okay, like we're gonna close the library early tonight because I'm not staying here. One of the libraries up in, the library I did up in Kennebunkport in Maine used to be a bank, and they converted it into the library. They still have the vault, where they used to keep all the money and everything, the big steel door and everything like that. So I mean, there's like these little quirky things that, people just don't even realize about libraries. And plus I'm a huge fan of, we're in the digital age and all that fun stuff, but I grew up going to a library. I was at the library in Hardwick constantly. It's like my parents thought I lived there. I think they were going to change my mailing address at one point. Like, I just think libraries are so valuable, and I don't want to see them become a dying breed. So, so that was actually my purpose of writing kind of that nonfiction book that hasn't been published yet, but maybe will be soon.
Thank you.
In your book, you mentioned something about horse farm and stuff. In Hardwick, did you ever know of Franklin Siren?
No, that
Because
doesn't sound familiar.
I'm thinking he lived in a big brick house, and he had a horse farm. So, I mean, that's how I'm like thinking, oh wow, because it just sounded like, I mean, he's since moved, I think, to Tennessee, but he lived there for many years with his horses.
Yeah, there was definitely, like I said earlier, I mean, there's, more cows than people at one time. Definitely there were people that I had gone to school with and everything that had, 6, 7 horses and, plus cows and all of this stuff. So it was, I didn't know that, so that's funny that it kind of correlated. But yeah, actually, the house that Hunter was in Hardwick, in his summers in Hardwick, is a real house there, but I kind of fabricated, made it a little bit larger than life than it really is, but I kind of based it off of, because a friend actually lived there, and I was like, okay, it's okay. It was kind of an interesting location and stuff like that, so, but that's interesting. But, yeah, what else can I answer for you guys?
How are you marketing the book? You're doing that by going around to different places like this?
Doing things like this, a lot of Facebook, social media, doing marketing campaigns off of my website, so I have a whole website through GoDaddy. A lot of it is word of mouth. I've done, print mailing campaigns as well, so it's funny, Margaret and I were just talking about this. It's definitely tough, and Gail can attest to this as well. It's like this grassroots effort that it's like one person at a time. And your network grows. I mean, it definitely does grow, but it's I've had people tell me, they're like, well, you're on Amazon, you're famous. And I'm like, and there's a million other books on Amazon. So great that I'm on Amazon, but you got to sift through, a million books to find me if you didn't know that I existed. So, it's through work friends, things like that. Actually, Gail and I did an event, when was it, in the spring at Tatnick Booksellers.
April,
Yeah, April. So I mean, there's definitely, places like Tatnick, that's an independent bookstore. The libraries are a great place, that are very friendly to us independent authors, which is nice. But, I actually just, this past weekend, I sent press releases a couple of months ago when the book launched, the second book launched, to all of the local newspapers. So like the Southbridge Villager actually picked it up and carried it, the Ware River News, that type of thing. I actually just sent updated press releases to local radio stations like 96.1 or 104.5 out of Worcester, to try to see like, hey, would this be interest of you for like to do a radio interview or something like that, like we were talking about, doing the public access in Charlton with Dickie Vaughn, so it's these little niches that you're trying to grow. I mean, like I said earlier, Mario's has been fantastic. They have both my books on display. The waitresses there are, like anytime anyone's even just looking at it, they're like, okay, it's on Amazon, let me tell you how to find it. Like, I mean, I think I've sold more books through Mario's than any place. I mean, they've been fantastic. But yeah, it's a lot of, Miguel, I'm sure you can attest to it, it's a lot of work. People think that, all right, the hard part's over, I wrote the book, I got it published. Okay, now I'm just gonna sit back and the royalties are gonna come in. Yeah, no.
Could you sell your stuff through Hardwick Co-op? Because I have a friend that works there.
Possibly. That's the one thing that I haven't done yet is, and actually it's on my list of things to do, is, okay, what local stores, even like Sadie Green's in Starbridge, or, like what local independent stores might be willing to do something on consignment or whatever, like, hey, can I put 5 copies there? If you sell them, great. If not, I'll take them back type thing. I haven't gotten to that point yet, but it's kind of been...
I mean, since Hardwick is the locale.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Looking into craft fairs, like Gail and I are going to be doing the Charlton Craft Fair. The holiday one was it the first Saturday?
First Saturday.
First Saturday in December.
No, it's the one at the library.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So, and actually,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Federated Church I like that one a lot, the craft fair.
Oh,
I think it's the same day. I
I
remember last year was the same day, because I was going to look into that one too, and I'm like, all right, well, I can't be in 2 places at once, and I had already committed to Charlton, but again, it's these little niche places, but I've looked into, because I know Southbridge has a kind of holiday and type craft fair at the
Arts.
the convention center, the old
Oh,
Yeah, they do,
optical
they have
place.
something there?
Last year was the first one they did.
I know
Yeah,
the Arts Center as well.
they wanted $150 a table, and
It
I
wasn't
said,
well advertised either.
I'm like, yeah, I can't sell enough books to make that money back. And at least with the Charlton Library, like the fee that we're paying for a table, it goes into the library, which to me, I'm like, that's awesome, because it's just going back into the library. But I'm
You're
like,
right, Sue, though, the art center has something Christmas time.
Right, and then how about Sturbridge, the farmer's market? I know Susan Klein spearheaded that.
I looked into that, and they are very clear on it needs to be farmer food type. Yeah, they are very.
brain.
Right, that's what I was like, all right, how can I wiggle this
All right,
in?
okay, so lavender, okay, so it's a plant.
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering, it's like,
Yeah,
well,
very agricultural,
Yeah.
because I was like, ooh, that would be a good one,
Yeah.
and I'm like, they were very clear, and I'm sure because they just don't want any old, vendors there, but yeah, I was like, ooh, that would be a perfect one.
It's hard because, I mean, there's book expos that have, 100 other authors.
Right.
And people are going there to buy books, but then you're side by side with 100 other authors
Right.
that might write in the genre that others prefer. It's really tough. And then when you go to craft fair, you might be the only author, you might be one of just a few. And that's challenging sometimes because people are like, what are you doing? You know, like, what are you doing here type of thing. So it's, how do you get titles how do you find out about titles that you're interested
That's
in?
a really
Book
good
two.
question.
I love-
BookTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is
I-
that, Sue?
BookTube.
BookTube?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna get 2 books. I wanted to take out 2 books. One is the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle or whatever. It's 7.5 lives. But I found out about that through BookTube. And there's another one that just different authors.
Can I read the New
Yeah.
York Times book review, the Sunday? And they have a new, you may have seen this, they have a new piece, it's been out about a year, that people can write in and they'll say what book they loved. And then they'll get a whole bunch of recommendations of books that are similar to
Well,
that. which is
BookTube,
really
if you
fun.
go on YouTube and just look up, like, BookTube, you've got, like, there's a young girl from England, a lot of them are from, overseas, but, from England who just strictly loves, like, for the most part, classics.
Mhm.
And so they talk about different classic books, and then, just all different kinds of stuff like that.
And I think the word gets out, so when I read a good book, I tell my mom, and she lives in the Boston area, and she'll tell her elderly friends, and then they may tell their children.
Right.
So it's just a lot of good word of mouth.
That's
But
the best.
it's
Yeah,
so
it
slow.
really is. I mean,
It is.
it's- I mean,
I have, oh, what have you done? This contemporary women's fiction.
You can come another night.
I'll tell you now.
Gail has 4 books. Her books are good.
Word of mouth, that's what does it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's like I said before, it's that grassroots effort that it's like one person tells another person and then another person, and it's so I have actually my father-in-law, since he's retired, he I think was looking for a hobby, so now I've become his hobby. He is on Facebook like every day promoting this thing. He's, the mailman will come and he's like, hey, I've got a good book for you. Like, I mean, it's actually, he's so cute. Like, and Gail, you've met them. He's adorable. And he, like, my father-in-law and mother-in-law are both from Canada, so now they've got their relatives that will order it through Amazon in Canada and everything, so now I've got, I call it the worldwide presence. But I have a friend who actually is mentioned in the second book as well, because I've actually tried to, like with Mario's, bring in some, local or products that I know that are like family owned. So a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, owns a winery outside of Portland, Oregon, in Willamette Valley. So his wine is actually, he pretty much does red wines. His wine is one of the wines that's at the Boston Children's Gala. And again, I did similar with Mario. I did a whole frame thing and sent it to him and everything. So he's actually promoted it at some of his wine events. So it's things like that that just there's actually another friend of mine who has a winery in wineries, I guess. Wineries and Italian food here, there's a trend, in Oakham, Mass. So she's another one of the wines that's mentioned in there, but it's like, again, I've known her since she was like this high. Like, so again, I've tried to bring in some local, again, real products that, again, if you ever Googled it, you could go out and buy it as well. Or,
So cross-marketing, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and they love it. So, I mean, she's actually, at her winery in Oakham, they are just about done building a new tasting room. She's like, once that's done, she goes, we'll have you there. She goes, and I'd also like to have your books on hand to sell. So again, we're trying to do these cross-marketing ideas of, how can we, kind of help each other out, if you will, so.
How do you prefer people to buy your book? Is it better for people to buy it on Amazon so sales will jump, or like what is, I'm not in the industry, so I don't know.
It's a tough one because I'll be honest, buying it like here, we get a better royalty rate because we're able to buy the books at a discount and then sell them. But to your point on Amazon, then you boost your sales, so you get more visibility. The more sales you have on Amazon, the higher up in kind of their algorithm you go.
Be like more likely to be recommended. If
Right.
you like this, you'd also like this.
Exactly.
But
The other thing too
on
on
Goodreads.
Right. Yes.
I do Goodreads, yeah.
And the other thing too on Amazon, similar with Goodreads, is trying to get people to actually go in and review your book. You know, because again, the more reviews you get, and hopefully they're good reviews, again, the higher up in the algorithm you show up. So, you know, it's playing the game. It's tough though. Actually, a friend of mine finished the second book. He tried to put a review in Amazon and they rejected it. We have no idea why, because there's nothing that he put in it that was obscene or anything like that. They're like, nope, sorry. So what he did is he tweaked it a little bit to include both books. He put the review on my first book, they accepted it. Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason sometimes, but.
It makes you wonder about the business model and how it works. And,
right.
you know, there's probably behind the scenes stuff going on there that you'll never understand.
Right.
But I think it's great that you come out into the community, share what you have, and, you know, it really brings any material to life. I've always found that hearing the author talk about why they did things and, you know, even reading passages from the book, it just gives you a whole different perspective on what it's about, and you're more invested in the book, and
absolutely,
it's easier to
absolutely.
understand. And I think that's great that you're featuring libraries, because I think libraries still are the backbone of our literary community and also hopefully democracy. But it's really nice though to think that people will gather at the library, where you may not have that opportunity anymore. Like so many people are doing things individually at home on their laptop or whatever, and it's great to have the opportunity to engage with the community, meet new people, just find out, you know, interests and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm very appreciative of authors being willing to come and share and just put themselves out there. It really is important.
It is, and to your point, Margaret, I mean, I love meeting new people. You know, I love, you know, I love talking about myself, so. But no, I mean, I love talking about the books. I'm passionate about them. And, you know, the one piece of advice that I've had a couple people recently say, hey, I want to write a book. You've inspired me. It's something that I've always wanted to do. Now kind of I've seen someone that I know has actually been able to do it. Like I'm gonna do it now. And you know, one of the pieces of advice for them that I have given is you need to get out. You can't just sit behind your computer, type, put it up on Amazon, and then, you know, hide in your office someplace. I said you've got to get out and talk about it. And there's, you know, one person in particular, she's a young girl, she's talking about writing a poetry book, which I think is great, but she's very shy. And I'm like, you have to kind of get over that, like, because especially with poetry, it's such a different genre that, you know, and again, I'm just guessing based on, you know, some of my experiences were, you know, the mystery world, I mean, it's a huge genre. The, you know, contemporary women's fiction, it's a huge genre. I mean, poetry, you're then narrowed down into your target audience, and you have to get out there and you have to talk to people, you have to meet people, and you know, you just can't hide behind Facebook. You actually have to, you know, meet people, and that's unfortunately the younger generation this year that just, you know, that really just wants to.
But especially with poetry, it really is the oral experience of hearing it being read by the poet, where the nuances are more clear, and you know, you get a whole different impression from that. So yeah. But maybe it's, you know, something in marketing as well that you might consider writing about, given the fact that you've experienced so much in terms of promoting your own materials and have the professional background, that it could be very helpful to people who may have struggled to understand the next step in the process, which is huge, because it's a whole business model.
It is.
So maybe that's something to explore, because you seem to have, in the things you've documented and you know, shared with us, I think there's a lot there in that.
Yeah, and you know, Gail and I have had this conversation too, and Gail's a fellow marketing veteran as well. And it's, you know, it's tough. and especially for people who don't have that marketing background of, what to do and how to do it. I mean, even simple things like how do you write a press release, type things. And, again, how do, you contact these newspapers or, TV stations or, whatever.
And use social media so that it's not just buy my book, buy my book.
Right.
Oh, while you're at it, why don't you buy my book?
Right.
It's gotta
it
be
is.
more than that.
And you're trying to come up with these, quirky little, hooks, if you will, to figure out like, okay, well, everyone's out there now on Facebook. We've got, social media overload. And it's like, all right, how do I differentiate myself? Because I even go through this with just my friends. I'm like, okay, you guys need to really take a break from Facebook because I don't need to know every 5 minutes of your day. Like, you're just clogging up my feed. But it's like, how do you then differentiate? How do you, whether it's, funky pictures, like I just got back from vacation in Las Vegas, and I took my books with me, and as I was going to different places, I was taking my books and taking pictures. And then there was a couple places where I just couldn't take the book for various reasons, like hanging outside the plane. But I literally, because I have the software to do it at home, so it's like I copied and pasted the books on the, like, off the wings of the plane, so it's because I took a picture outside of, from the window of the plane, that type of thing. So it's like, you're coming up with these quirky little things of just to like grab someone in to be interested. That's it. And then hopefully, they buy. One of the other things I was just talking to someone about is the cover designs. And you need to have something catchy. That's the first thing that people are going to see. You've got literally probably 30 seconds to grab their attention, and what does that cover look like? It really needs to say pick me up, and at least, if not buy, but browse. And again, where there's so many other books to choose from, especially like in the mystery genre, it's, and I have spent a lot of time, I have to say that the book cover designers nailed it from my perspective, but I had a lot of people that have commented, they're like, I love the cover, so I'm going to actually buy it.
I love the cover. As a matter of fact, looking at the first book, I looked at that, and immediately I think of Bob Dylan on Nashville Skyline. It's like his silhouette. I mean, the hat, I mean, that's what I thought. I'm like, oh, that's really cool.
And and some people probably don't even realize, so it's actually an interesting point. So you brought up the hat and how they did this, and then if you look closely on the second book, I'm like, with the shadow, I'm like, I need the same type of guy with that hat. So, and
Is it the same designer on both?
Nope, two different designers.
Interesting.
Nicely done.
And again, this is, we were going back and forth on different pictures of, because I equated this more with the Hardwick piece of it. I'm like, okay, the next book I want to be more a little bit Boston-y. And so actually the cover designer had given me several different layouts to choose from, and her suggestion was, okay, this is what, when people have never been to Boston, that's what they think of Boston. And I'm like, okay, Beacon Street and all of that stuff, and it's like the old and traditional, and it's funny because going, when I have to work in Boston, it's like I drive by this section, I'm like, oh, that's my street that's on my book. So it's kind of funny, but they're like just, and actually my publisher's out in Oregon, so they're like, we can attest from being the West Coasters, this is what people think Boston looks like. She's like, we know that downtown city isn't all like that, but she's like, again, trying to get people who've never been there, what do you kind of think if you were to, do a snapshot of Boston? So it was interesting to hear like their different views, because again, the publishers also give a lot of good kind of tips and tricks. I mean, they deal with it every day, so, and of course they want it, to sell as much as, it's good publicity for them, so.
Are you selling and signing books tonight?
I am.
I only take cash, no checks. I can run across the street.
I'll trust you with a check.
Am I good for it, Marty?
Absolutely. So can I just ask you, who would be your favorite mystery authors? And for what reason?
Let's see. Right now I am reading Stuart Woods, and I'm a huge John Sanford fan as well. I just like their writing styles, and I like how they've done their characters. Again, they've they've really built those characters up. They you get into those kind of characters, and even though I always feel like even though I haven't been to those locations that they're necessarily talking about, I feel like I have been there because they do a nice job describing them and everything. Plus, again, they're pretty good. I wouldn't say that they're necessarily, some of their books are cliffhanger, but they carry you along. So it doesn't feel like, it's a lot of time and energy to actually get through their books. Like I do like the Dan Brown books, but that's a lot.
Who has the time?
I know, it's like, all right, 800 pages, go. And I mean, he does a fantastic job and all of that, but it's just like, again, that's where I'm like, I don't want people to, have to, basically it's like a second job for them to read a book, so. But
You're held hostage, really.
Exactly, but I think, John Sanford and Stuart Woods are probably my two favorite right now.
And what about women authors?
I actually have read a lot of Patricia Cornwell, so I think she actually does a really nice job. Tammy Hogue, as well. I mean, I think again, and it's funny because I'm actually going back now with Stuart Wood's book and reading some of the earlier ones that he did that I hadn't for whatever, because I do like to read things in a series. And there's a couple I missed in the beginning, and I can so tell his beginning books compared to where he is now, and you see that evolution of him as a writer. Not that his beginning books weren't good, I mean they were, but you see that evolution there. But
There's two I like women authors. They're more suspense than mystery, but I don't know, they're very exciting. Karen Slaughter and Fiona Barton, I think, are both just awesome. I love, especially Fiona Barton, the audiobooks. That British accent just...
I don't know her.
Fiona Barton, The Widow, The Child. There's a third one. I can't remember. Yeah, Fiona Barton. And then Karen Slaughter, best name ever. For,
I know, it's like, oh
Good
gee.
mother, or whatever it was, the good daughter.
Barton.
Good daughter.
Right.
Can you say them again?
Sure, Fiona Barton and Karen, Karin Slaughter, just like it sounds.
Yeah.
Good.
That's really best name ever.
I know, it's like, okay,
I mean,
she couldn't have done any other books besides, Mystery.
Ryan, please, it's just...
I know, I'll have to write about an Irish pub or something. Actually, there is an Orion's.
So how about you, Maureen?
My favorite authors? Oh, I just read junk. No, I don't know, I read everything. I just finished, Pillars of the Earth was one of my very favorite books because I love historical fiction. And then he wrote those sequels, and the last sequel, did you know about this? The sequels that he's written to it? It's about building a cathedral in the 1500s, and the last one that he just wrote, I was held hostage by it. It was 1,000 pages long, couldn't wait for it to end. I had gotten 3/4 of the way through. Then what do you do?
Right, might as well just finish.
I couldn't wait for it. I was so happy it was over. I'll never read another one.
And how about you, Sue?
I always liked P.D. James. I love P.D. James. The one book I didn't really like was Children of Men. And
Yes, I totally agree, but that was a different book.
That was a totally different book.
genre.
I'm like,
Yeah.
And then, of course, for fluff stuff, I like MCB, and then Sue Grafton was fun and stuff like that. But Elizabeth George, I like her.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and then I guess there's, I don't know if I read a lot of male mysteries.
I have to admit, I really like the Harry Bosch series.
Oh, no,
but it's such a formula. You know exactly it's going to do this and this.
Good.
But they're just so good. But you can't read too many in a row. You have to kind of take a break and then go back to it.
Right.
And I do like the Netflix series, the HBO series. Have you seen any of those?
Oh, Amazon.
Amazon series,
Yes, Bosch.
I like
very
Steve
good.
Larson, but I don't know if he's considered mystery now.
It's too spare.
Dragon.
It's too what?
Spare.
Yeah, Michael.
Thank you very much, Tracey, for coming this evening, and
Thank you.
let's adjourn to book signing.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Fidelity.